Hey guys! So, today we are going to talk about understanding, and an important moment in my career as a software developer that I wanted to share with you, and something that I've been reflecting on a little bit that hopefully will make you see something that I started seeing. So let's get into it. Now, you see, for the longest time, especially when I first started out as a junior, I had this, let's call it focus. I had this idea, and I think it has to do with how common it is in our in our industry, that you have these promoters. You have people who are pushing different technologies. There's tons and tons of diversity. You have all these options open to you, and especially when you haven't worked all that long in the industry, it's just a maze of information, and people are giving, like, they're promoting their different, like, often just the positive aspects of their products. And I had this idea for the longest time where I was trying to learn all the tools, and when I watched a tech talk where somebody promoted something like microservices, for example, I took that to heart, and I had this idea that, oh, this person is an expert and knows much more about these sorts of things than I do. And for the most part, that was fairly on the money. Like, it's, since when you're starting out, you don't really know all that much. You kind of trust whatever people are, well, not whatever what people are saying, but you trust those with more experience, and you should, to a point. And for the longest time, I learned so many tools, like, especially since I spent most of my time in JavaScript land, and like, the tool suite of JavaScript is massive, guys. There is so much to learn, and there's so much diversity, and everybody is claiming different things, and you have different pros and cons with literally everything, right? And while I was progressing through my career, and I had this, I learned a lot of stuff, but I also started figuring out, once I started using the tools, I started realizing something. I realized that these tools, although they had certain aspects to them that were really good, some of them really didn't bring me all that much value. It sounded great when the person on stage was, or when I had checked out their website or somebody was promoting it. I mean, in theory, like, it sounded great. Like, all the things that they were saying, they were talking about speed, they were talking about productivity, they were talking about all these different things. But when I kind of actually started looking into it, and it took me a while, because, you know, I was just in my mental state of, all right, yeah, this person was saying that this tool is the best, and I know it's super popular, therefore it is a good thing, right? But it was really only later when I started realizing that I had made a fatal mistake. And when I realized the mistake I had made, something clicked. I had a click in my head. It's when basically the closest thing to an epiphany, I suppose, at least for me as a programmer. You see, what I realized was that I had fallen prey to the same sort of mentality that, say, TV shop or these networks who sell products on television, like the same sort of trap that they basically represent. That's the thing I had fallen victim to. I realized that I had started listening more to the promises of the person who is promoting this tool and the group that is building it than I actually had understanding the problem that they are solving for me, understanding the value of their solution, instead of actually thinking for myself and trying to actually check whether or not what they are promising me is actually being delivered, or if their solution is right for me. I had just taken their word for it without checking things out. And the best way I can describe it is that I felt like because let's take getting into shape as an example. When you first start working out, and you never worked out in your whole life, you're just going to get into shape, right? You have no idea how to achieve that goal. You have no idea what, you know, good food habits are. You have no idea how to exercise. You don't understand how your body works. All of these things. You're basically fumbling in the dark, right? So you start researching things like, right, and you will have all these different people who tell you different things, and you try some stuff out. It may not work, it may not live up to your expectation, and this is what TV Shop and these sort of networks live off. They live off your lack of understanding how your body works. Because the thing is that, I mean, I was there as well when I first started out years ago, right? It's only now that I've had enough time to accumulate enough experience to understand that, hey, most of these machines are, yeah, they have a value, but not as much as just going to the gym. Like, there's no, like, maybe there is some value to using this weird cruncher machine, but I could just go and do crunches with weights and probably get a better effect than this product. And when I started looking at things from that perspective, when I stopped just trusting what all these tools are offering me as a promise, and actually really think about whether or not the value of the thing that they are promoting is big enough for me, I started looking at things with a completely new set of eyes. I'm no longer convinced that everything that Google is saying is perfect, and that I'm not convinced any longer that the latest and trendiest web framework or SPA framework for for JavaScript is the best thing. Because now I've accumulated enough experience to understand what the problem that they're solving actually is, and what they are bringing to the table that is better than what I'm already using. And for the most part, I have realized that there are certain tools that really do deliver, like they really have this value that they're talking about, but the really large amount of them are just this like tiny differences that don't really provide that much value. As I said with the cruncher machine, the value that this little machine that you can buy for money, like, yes, sure, it brings a small amount of value, but not as much as doing regular crunches. And that's the thing that changed. When I realized that these people are selling a product and promoting a solution to something, I realized that I can't just blindly trust what they're saying. I have to actually really understand the problem that they are solving for me, and understand if their solution is worth the complexity and all the things that comes with learning these new tools. And now I've kind of changed. As I said, I had this moment where it clicked, and now I've finally kind of started realizing when a tool is a good idea, when it's bringing a lot of value, and when I should just stay with what I already know, or maybe even build my own thing because it's not worth investing in this other thing, right? And all I can say is that it came along at the same moment when I started understanding the underlying problems that these tools are solving for me. So yeah, that's basically it. That's my epiphany. Hopefully you will start thinking about this in a similar way, especially if you are a junior. Because as I said, because there's so much information, there's so many different people promising you different things, it can get really tricky. But trust me when I say that when you understand the underlying problem that these tools are solving for you, and you have a little bit of you get a little bit of experience working with these sorts of problems, you start to see a red thread in what you need as opposed to what people are promising you. Because what you need is very different from what you're being promised, for the most part at least. So don't just blindly follow all the trends, guys. Really ask yourself if the thing that somebody is promoting is going to bring you the value that they are promising, because you might find that that's not always the case. Have a great day.